What is going on? Today we'll be talking about doing things that you find uncomfortable on purpose. So, what does that essentially mean? Um, so, throughout parts of your life, you're gonna run into situations, whether that's just, it could be a variety of different things that make you uncomfortable. And these things that make you uncomfortable will close you off from opportunities that may arise. So, to combat that, put yourself in uncomfortable situations on purpose. Doing that makes it so, like, any situation that comes across you that you're unfamiliar with, that you may be uncomfortable with, let's say, you work you work in you work at a you work in an accounting office, and they have this role open that is within your realm, but you've never like actually thought about it as something that you could do. So instead of you figuring out what sort of things you need to do to to explore those options of getting that job, you are like, oh, that's never something I've thought about. It's not something that I don't think I could do. So limiting these limiting beliefs come in immediately, right? So in order to combat that, the best thing to do is throughout your life just be in situations where you're doing things that, oh, I've never thought about doing this. So that it's no longer a question of, okay, am I able to do this? But more like, let me try to do this. So you putting yourself in situations that are uncomfortable will allow yourself, will allow you as the person to take every opportunity that arises at full value. So whether or not it works out in your favor is all for the future to decide. But for somebody to be able to move along in their career, for somebody to be able to say, hey, I want to make something of myself. How do I make something of myself? It's seeking discomfort. And that's something that a lot of people aren't comfortable with doing, obviously, because it's uncomfortable. Like you having to come up to your boss and asking them for a raise. That's uncomfortable because there's this chance of a no, right? Whereas, you know, if you do the small uncomfortable things first, the things that you can control, because you can't control the decisions of somebody else, but you can control the decisions that you make on a day-to-day basis. So if you've been pretty lazy and you want to get yourself in a rhythm of some sort of productivity, then you wouldn't just be like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to run 10 miles. You would first climb that ladder by saying, okay, I will walk for 5 minutes or 2 minutes or 1 minute tomorrow. And that slowly builds up your strength or your mental capability of that big act of maybe potentially running 10 miles. And it's the same thing when in the workplace, you're not just a person that's like coming in, doing their 9 to 5 and then clocking out. You're a person that's always engaged in the process of work, not just in the sense that, okay, like I'm here for a paycheck, but also in the development area. So if you ever want to get paid in corporate America, if you ever want to get paid in, I think in pretty much any position that you're ever in, that you're working under somebody, you have to be willing to learn more. You have to be, and learning more is uncomfortable because nobody wants to feel dumb. Everybody wants to be within their realm of possibility. That big circle is that circle that we kind of combine ourselves and say, okay, I belong in this circle. There's no reason for me to go outside this circle. So, in order to find your space outside of that circle, slowly chop away at things that you usually don't do. So, if you come into work and you just clock in and clock out, that's one thing. But why don't you add, you clock in and Maybe you send an extra email that says, "Oh, hey, I figured this thing out about this problem that we were having." So it lets your employer know that, hey, you're more into the aspects of the business, and that way, a lot of things can come up for you because they can remember from previous instances, like, oh, like that guy inquired about this a long time ago. And if you don't like the position that you're in, the only way that you'll be able to possibly get out of that position is either quit your job and apply to a different position, or look within positions of the company that you already work in. Because a lot of companies would rather hire internally than externally. I think it's just cheaper to find, or if trust is within the company, then uh, it's it's nicer to have somebody that's already working for them to have that position. So to be that person that's looked upon as, oh yeah, he could be a contender or a strong contender when you apply internally. Yeah, I think it's a big opportunity, and all that was because you decided, oh, I'm going to put in the little extra effort. It's not a lot. Maybe you sent out one extra email. Maybe you decided, oh, like today, I'll make sure I come into work early just because I want to get ahead, and that sort of thing. People notice that. But yeah, do things that are uncomfortable to you on purpose. There will be everlasting benefits to it. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.